Hello everyone and welcome! I haven't done one of these discussion videos in a while, so I think it's time for another one. But this time, I don't think I will be able to avoid burning myself. Today I want to talk about the flaws of League of Legends in general. I wanted to make this video over a half a year ago, but I was scared of people disagreeing with me. But because I strongly believe in the points I am going to make, I decided to go for it anyway. Before I start, I have to say two things. Number one, even though I talk about video game design a lot, I am not a video game designer. This is something that interests me a lot, I love reading about it, I love going through the dev posts, but in the end, I am not a developer. Number two, I am a gamer. I play all kinds of video games and I respect them equally. I am not the kind of guy that would blindly protect a video game just because he wants it to succeed. With that said, I have to say that even though I am going to talk about all the wrong steps League has made, I still like the game. I probably wouldn't be making videos about it if I didn't like it. Some of the problems I will mention in this video may seem like minor issues, but they still bother me way more than they should. One final note that I want to add in: I am not going to talk about balancing issues or anything in that regard, because that can be easily fixed. With all of that said, we can finally begin. Let's start with some of the smaller problems that League has had ever since its release: the marketing. Some of you may think that this is purely a business thing that has nothing to do with the game. That is a false statement and I will show you why. Do you remember the famous League of Legends theme music? Some of you got it immediately. I will give you a few seconds to the rest of you. Still nothing? Alright, let me play it for you. It's weird, isn't it? Some people got it immediately, while others had no idea that this even is the main theme of League of Legends. There is a reason why that is. Riot used to play this music during the Champion Select in Season 1 and halfway through Season 2. So if you still remember this song, you are probably an old school player. In fact, the last time Riot has ever used this song in their client was during the Snowdown Showdown in 2012. After that, Riot has abandoned their old main theme and went with a new theme for every season. In my opinion, that was a mistake. I have to say that Riot has amazing ambient music in-game, but you can hardly hum its melody because it is hard to remember. To give you better perspective, I opened up a list of what is considered to be the greatest games of all times. Among the best we have Ocarina of Time, GTA 5, Super Mario Bros., Tetris and Skyrim. All of these games have memorable music. Yes, it is something that is not part of the gameplay, but it is definitely something that connects the players with the games. And here is what I mean by that. For those of you that played these games, that was some serious nostalgia kick, wasn't it? To finish talking about music, I want to show you what Riot should have done. Riot should have done what Blizzard is doing with Heroes of the Storm. Blizzard decided to use one main theme for the entire game, but they change it depending on what the event in-game currently is. For example, this is the classic main theme. And this is their Diablo version of the main theme. On one side, it is awesome that every champion in League of Legends gets their own piece of music, but on the other side, I feel like the new players will never have that moment of nostalgia connected with music. But let's move away from music. Instead, let's talk about hype. I am pretty sure all of you were hyped for at least one champion throughout the history of League of Legends. If you ask me, I was hyped for Vel'Koz, Kindred and Tahm Kench. Now, ask yourself a question. Were you ever hyped for something new in League of Legends more than any other game? For example, were you ever hyped for League of Legends more than, let's say, Fallout 4? I am not a huge fan of the Fallout series, but I think it is pretty safe to assume that most of you said no. League has this awful trait that makes it almost impossible to get hyped for anything new in League of Legends. Yes, you can get hyped for something new like a new champion, for example. But because Riot gives us all the new features in such a small chunks, when they finally arrive, the hype just disappears for most people. The only thing that you can really get hyped for are new maps. But we know how it is with Riot and new maps. That happens once every 2 years or so. And since the last one was released with the Bilgewater event, I think it is pretty safe to say that we will wait a while. As I said before, the main problem is that Riot gives us something new in really small chunks, so we usually go through everything in one day. Imagine if instead Riot released 3 champions at once in a much bigger patch. Yes, it would be a lot more chaotic, but let's be honest, it would be a lot more fun. Now, let's talk about my main point and pretty much the reason I am even making this video. Earlier this week, CNBC released an article saying that the digital gaming sales hit record $61 billion in 2015. League of Legends alone earned $1.62 billion. I wanted to say this half a year ago, and I still want to say it now. What is Riot doing with all that money? I know I will get burned alive for saying this, but think about everything I say before you post an angry comment. League of Legends is not moving anywhere, and that is not good at all. If you look at the Season 2, and then you come back and look at the current game, you can notice that you are indeed looking at the exact same game, with a bit more polygons here and there and a few more champions. It almost feels like Riot realized that they are the biggest game ever, and because they don't want to drop, they don't want to do anything risky, so instead they don't do anything. I am pretty sure that is going to be their downfall. I don't think that Riot tells us the full truth whenever they say that they don't have enough resources to do something the community wants. World of Warcraft makes only half of the money League does, and arguably, World of Warcraft releases 3 times as much content as League of Legends. Seriously, throughout 1 year of work, the developers of World of Warcraft have to put together entire new landscape for their world, roughly 100 new NPC 3D models, 100 3D models for their armor and weapons, new quests, new story progression, class balances, hours of music, and of course, boss fights and dungeon mechanics. Now, let's see what Riot's developers worked on during the year of 2015. 3D models for new champions and skins, which is pretty much the same as Blizzard, but I have to say that Riot goes for lower quality because the players usually don't notice the details on the champions. Champion balancing, again pretty much the same as Blizzard. One map, if you want to compare it to Blizzard, they actually released entire new continent, usually with 6 different zones. And that's it, wrap it up, we're done here. That's pretty much all Riot is doing throughout one year. You could also include the lore and stories, but Riot is not too productive with that. I am going to repeat myself, but I have no idea what Riot is doing with all that money. I'm guessing that they shove it all up into esports, but even if they use half of their earnings for esports, they would still have $800 million for the game itself. Now here's something interesting. Before Riot became big, they actually used to have different mentality. And I am not saying that because I think that they got money hungry, but there are actual proofs that show you exactly what kind of game League of Legends used to be. Here are some pictures of the original Summoner's Rift. Back in the day, most people didn't play for elo, they didn't play to get better, they played for fun. Back then, Riot wanted to support this however they could. A huge part of it were map skins. Whenever a holiday season arrived, a new map was released. Soon, the Summoner's Rift had many different skins. Winter skin, Halloween skin, they even had a new map skin for the Vancouver Olympic Games, with all the flags around the map. Why don't we have that anymore? I have no clue. Here's the thing. Riot told us that the reason why they don't have new map skins anymore is because they don't have enough resources for it. I have an article in front of me that proves otherwise. The reason why I believe that they don't do that anymore is because they keep updating the map over and over again. Believe it or not, but this is the 5th version of Summoner's Rift we are playing right now. And you know what? I don't want a new one. I would rather have this Summoner's Rift for the next 5 years with fun seasonal updates rather than entirely new map every season. To top this off, how can they say that they don't have enough resources when there are other people that already did it for free? Yes, there are people that reskinned the Summoner's Rift and covered it in snow for free. Even if it is just a reskin, it is still better than nothing. The funny thing is that all you have to do is add in few lines of code that say, instead of loading the regular textures, the game will load the winter textures. And you're done. That's all you have to do, and Riot still decided to do nothing. I guess I'm done with this video. I'm just sad that Riot is sitting on their butts, afraid to take any risks because they know that if they fail, the damage would be too great. Do you remember when Riot was planning on making this 10v10 map? I am still very sad that they decided not to do it. I always felt like this game needed a bit more diversion. And you know what? Thank you Riot for releasing Dominion, because that was the correct step to make. Guess why ARAM is so popular? It's because it's a fun game mode. And we need more of these. Thank you all for watching this video. If you liked and agreed with what I was talking about, feel free to give me a like. And of course, if you disagree with me, give me a dislike. But before you do, at least tell me why you disagreed with me. I am sensing a lot of burning in the comment section. But still, as always, thank you, come again. So yeah, I am ready to get burned for this video, but still this is something I really wanted to talk about for a long time. I don't actually think that the Riot developers are just sitting in their chairs doing nothing, but I've heard that they actually have really bad communication issues in Riot games. So maybe they are really working hard, but it is just very hard to publish anything because they need a lot of paperwork to get it through. And that would actually make sense now that I think about it. The other thing is that they may actually use half of the money to create the new game that we know Riot is making. But other than that, I guess they are just a bit lazy. But you know what, let's see what comes up in 2016. Maybe I'll be surprised. And maybe you'll be too. So I guess see you then.